We wake up in the morning, we can see. We have food, we have a dog to pet or a cat to kick or a food to eat, and we have it. Why should we be unhappy? I don't understand. What's the point? I work with trauma and pain, and in my previous thing, when I had a clinic before, I used to work with people in a physical sense and psychotherapeutic sense. But now I work in a simple way, because looking at drawings, I can translate what it is that they mean, and I can give them a direction as to how they should change what they think. That's what art therapy is about. And you can find very interesting correlations between that. Many, many years ago, people found that people who were very ill, if they were given a creative activity, they became better. So most of the drawings that people do, or the paintings people do, and you can tell the kind of mood that people are in by the kind of colors that they like. I limit people to what it is that they can do. Say you can take one piece of chalk, any color, but you can only draw 8 lines. And from the 8 lines, I will decide which it is that you can elaborate on, and how does that line, the thickness, the strength, become a therapeutic essence, a way, how can we use that as a journey? So effectively, by putting people into a situation where they could express what they felt through art, gave me the bridge between the two, because I'm a therapist and a painter. I grew up in Africa. I grew up with my nanny on a farm. Then one day the French government offered me a place to go to university, and I could choose what I wanted to do. And I was interested in one particular man called Vincent van Gogh. He was a painter, slightly psychotic, with all sorts of issues. I was obsessed with this guy. I thought, how does he paint? How does he work? Whatever. And eventually I wrote a thesis, and what I was interested in is the life and times of Vincent van Gogh. And the reason I started doing psychology and psychotherapy, because I wanted to understand how people thought. Interesting. There's it's so consistent that it's absolutely even and equal. There's nothing here. There's a strange situation of a guy who used to make toys. When his father became ill with some prostate cancer, stomach cancer, he was slowly dying, and the guy couldn't stop working because he had to deliver the toys to get money to pay for his father's treatment. Eventually his father died, and about 6 or 7 months later, the guy, the man who was making the toys, adopted all the things that his father had without a medical condition. He was ill with pain, severe pain, because the guilt that he felt for his father's condition, he was taking on, so he could hardly walk. And they did every medical test, and they found that there was nothing wrong with him. So we worked with him in a very strange way, with a very large sheet of paper, and he would stand inside the paper so that it was like a sheet of paper, and people would draw around him, so he could see himself. But because he couldn't perceive what he looked like, he could never associate the shape that he was with the figure that he thought of himself to be. So we drew and drew until eventually there came a point in which he could establish what it was that he was doing. He was bent double from pain, and by drawing, eventually he straightened up. It was quite interesting, strange case. I didn't like the Cantonese attitude with being ill. I didn't like the Moloi Singh running around like crazy, everybody rushing somewhere looking for more money. You're only unhappy because you assume you need more than you've got. And I can tell you, art therapy in many ways, for no money I help people. And why should I not? I'm so lucky to have what I've got. I'm really grateful. I really am. I think, how lucky am I? I'm handsome, young, good looking.